The lighting today, it's rough, okay? It's rough, we're struggling. Bear with me. Today we are sitting down by my bookshelves because I am wanting to do an updated 2024 bookshelf tour, going through all my bookshelves, showing you what books I have, how I'm organizing them. And so for the past few days, I have been just like going through all of my shelves and unhauling a shit ton of books that I don't want to keep on my shelves for whatever reason. So this entire bag is full of books that I'm gonna be unhauling. So I thought it was perfect time to film a little unhaul video. Let's waste no time and let's just hop on in. First of all, we have some book of the month books. First is The Lifestyle by Taylor Hahn. I believe this is about a woman who discovers that her husband's cheating on her and then just decides, like, they just decide to have an open marriage instead. It's a literary fiction, and honestly, I just don't find myself ever wanting to reach for it. We also have a historical fiction, Did You Hear About Kitty Carr by Crystal Smith Paul. I am not a historical fiction girly, so I never find myself wanting to read this. A book I did read, Things I Wanted to Say by Monica Murphy. This was just like, it was like new adult. I feel like they were 16, 17, 18, like very young, and it was so spicy. It just felt like, I felt weird reading it. You know what I mean? Like the smut wasn't written badly, but I was like, should I even be enjoying this? I don't know. I don't know. So I'm getting rid of it. Next, we have Graceling. This is a YA fantasy I've had on my shelf for a real long time, but then I found out that each book in the series like follows an entirely different character, and it kind of is like a standalone. And the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I realized there are just so many other YA fantasies I would rather read. This one is kind of older. I think it came out in like 2014, 2011. Let me see. Oh, 2008. I guess this goes for any book, but specifically for this one, like if you think I'm making a mistake and I shouldn't unhaul it, let me know in the comments. But again, I just had this on my shelf for over a year and a half, and I've never wanted to pick it up. Next, we have Bang by Barry Lyga. This is a YA sort of fiction story about this kid who accidentally ends up shooting his brother or his friend. I'm not really sure. But I really enjoyed Barry Lyga's YA mystery series. I Hunt Killers series was one of my favorite YA series back in middle school. And so I bought this when it came out, but honestly, like, I'm not gonna read this. Next, we have a poetry collection that I read. I just did not connect to any of these poems, like thinking back. It is You Are a Little Bit Happier Than I Am by Tao Lin. I love me a good poetry collection, but yeah, this one just didn't do it for me. We have a vampire romantasy, King of Battle and Blood by Scarlett St. Clair. My younger sibling Gio read this and told me that it was really bad and that I should not waste my time, so I'm gonna be unhauling this. But yeah, I just heard that the plot was really dumb. I believe it's like about this woman who's sent to marry this vampire, but like her plan is to kill him. It sounded really interesting, but I trust Gio's opinion, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Another book that my younger sibling Gio read, this is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I bought this copy like when I first got back into reading in like 2020, 2021. And my sibling Gio read it while we were on vacation together, and they said it was like averagely good, 3 stars. But I just feel like there are so many other books by Christina Lauren that I would rather pick up. I have a lot of them on my shelf behind me, so I just don't find myself wanting to read this. Next, we have a spicy, steamy little adult romance, Priest by Sierra Simone. As you can probably guess by the title, this involves a priest. I have a lot of religious trauma, so I personally enjoyed this book. I think I gave it like a 3 star. And I thought the priest, I don't remember what his name was, but he was iconic. He like loved Britney Spears. And like, it was hot, but I don't really need to have a copy of this on my shelf. I don't know if I'm gonna continue the series, and I don't find myself like ever wanting to reread this. Yeah, I'm just gonna pass it on to someone else who will hopefully enjoy it more. Finally doing it. I mean, is there anything that even needs to be said? I just didn't care for these. I just don't need these on my shelves. Not much else to it. Next is a recent purchase. This is When Life Gives You Vampires by Gloria Duke. This is a plus-size vampire romance. I was really excited about it initially, but then I started it, I read a few chapters, and I quickly realized that the writing style was not going to be for me. I feel like the way that Lily, our main character, thinks and treats her body and her weight is like very gross. Like, I thought this was going to be like a good plus-size representation, and I don't think it was at all. So not for me. Next, we have my one and only Christmas rom-com. I read this in December. It was cute. It's A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. I realized holiday rom-coms are not for me. I'm not a holiday movie girly. I'm not a holiday romance book girly. It's just not for me, so I don't need to keep this on my shelf. We've got The Risk by Elle Kennedy. I am keeping a few other books from this series, ones that I actually like and remember, but I remember practically nothing about this book and I did not care for the characters. I remember it was like supposed to be fake dating and then it like actually wasn't at all, and I just like don't need to own this anymore. Light Lark by Alex Astor. Somehow I have acquired like 3 copies of this. Like I just keep getting more copies of this and I do not want to read this book. I have decided, I have heard way too many negative reviews. There's a podcast I really, really like. I'll put their name on the screen because I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's like Textual Tension or something like that. I love, love, love their videos. They read books and like dissect them. And they did a whole episode on Light Lark and like broke down the entire plot and talked about it. So I basically know everything that happens in this book and I have no desire to read it. I'm also unhauling this copy of Crescent City by Sarah J Maas. I am only unhauling this because I bought the Barnes & Noble exclusive editions and they are so beautiful. I love them. So there's no reason for me to keep my original paperback copy. Wow, this book is so big. So gonna give this one to a good home. Then we have a YA romance. This is Love is a Revolution by Renee Watson. I realized a lot last year that YA romances are definitely not for me. I think I've outgrown them, so I'm really, really picky and hesitant to pick up a YA romance, and I just don't think I see myself picking this up anytime soon. So love that cover though. It is so cute. And lastly, we have 2 books from Aardvark Books that I just are not really my vibe. This one is Beautiful Creatures by Kay Chronister. Again, kind of a historical fiction, not my genre. And then we have The Magician's Daughter by H.G. Perry. This is like a fantasy set in Ireland, which sounds interesting, but honestly, I just have way, way, way too many fantasy books on my radar that I don't see myself picking this one up. Those, my friends, are all the books that I have in my unhaul bag. I'm either gonna like donate them, give them away to loved ones, or list them over on my Pango Books if you're interested. It's in the description box. But yeah, take this video as a sign to unhaul some books off your shelf that you no longer want to read anymore, you no longer want to keep, books that are no longer serving you. That's always a good time to just get rid of stuff you don't want. And I feel like a weight is lifted by getting these books off my shelf. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to stay tuned for my full in-depth bookshelf tour if you do want to see what books I am keeping. Yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. And hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone!